Welcome to RVing in New England, the nation's only forum that puts you on stage with some of the biggest names in the RV industry. And now your hosts, John DiPietro and Bob Zagami.
We were hiding behind the logo.
We were doing so well. We had it like 2-3 weeks in a row.
a little bit of a hiccup.
Yeah.
So tonight you're our guest.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to be here.
Huh?
I'm not supposed to be here.
Why are you not supposed to be here?
Well, because that should be the other host. I'm the guest. I should be like waiting in the green room backstage.
I can drop you down there if you want. It's really easy. It's really easy to make you disappear. I can just take you off the stage and put you down below, let you grab a snack, have a little piece of lobster, and then I can bring you back up.
Yeah, they're just like that. The magic of broadcasting.
Yeah. So welcome. So you were on a big trip last week to Elkhart, and before I let you talk about the intro, let's do a little housekeeping first, because there's some events this weekend that people should know about. Open house at Hemlock Hill in Southington, Connecticut, and that starts on, that'll be Thursday or that'll be Friday? Yeah, that'll be Friday. Seacoast RV, Friday and Saturday up in Saco, Maine. And I literally just loaded this one 2 minutes ago when I saw it come through a post. Pete's RV up in South Burlington, Vermont is having a Flagstaff weekend. Great products out of that Rockwood family of products, Rockwood and Flagstaff. He sells the Flagstaff version. He will have manufacturers reps on site. And looking forward to this month on the 14th, it's going to be National Go RVing Day. So you want to watch for our daily bulletins on National Go RVing Days. I'm sorry, John, did you say something?
In June.
June 14th. Saturday, June 14th, which is Flag Day. It is. And then the Brinkley RV Company hooked up with the RV Women's Alliance and did an all-female technician certification, level 1 certification course at Brinkley. And they trained not only those that are working on technical issues, but team members throughout the company so that they would learn the language of the business and get introductory exposure to propane, electricity, plumbing, and the like. So a lot of forward thinking there on Brinkley's part. We'd like to see other manufacturers do it. And last, I got to put a plug in for our good friend Neil Portnoy out in Las Vegas. No, this is not the New England Patriots, but he's working on the greatest players of the Philadelphia Eagles, which were last year's Super Bowl champ. And I've got a couple of friends down there competing for the drawing, but those prints are going to be available soon. So if you do that, I'll put a link down below and share that with all your Philadelphia Eagle fans. I know that the 18 by 20, they're signed limited editions, 18 by 24 inch prints usually go for about $300. So we'll put
keep that up go back to that for 1 second. Just to show you, and that's the first I've seen of this, but just to show you the detail that Neil goes into, the authenticity and realisticness of his stuff. If you notice, the jerseys are different shades of green or bluish green because the actual uniforms changed over the years. Look, see, number 41 is wearing a different color than number 69 down in the bottom row.
I never picked that up, but I noticed it on the Patriots that there were different jerseys, but I never realized. This is number 13 in the series of great teams that he is at. And if you look over on the right-hand side, what are those little things on the right-hand side, John?
Those are his brushes.
His felt tip markers.
His markers.
Everything he does is with a felt tip marker.
Yep. Absolutely amazing.
Amazing.
And when you look at those up close, the detail, the eyes, the beards, the shadows that they put on those. And it should also be pointed out that at the Portnoy Gallery, I believe there's a picture of Zagami up on the wall.
There is.
I don't know whether it's in the main restroom or in the hallway, but it's there. And you know what? If you have a sports fan in your family, those are the ones to get. And I think I may have forgotten to tell you that I saw Walt Burns on Thursday morning, and I said, I'll talk to you as soon as I'm done this interview. And I went back, and he had disappeared, or I had taken too long. But Walt, it was so nice to see you there. Sorry we didn't get to talk. And what if we're Patriots or Red Sox, Redskins?
Well, the Patriots are available, Walt, and the Redskins. I'm pretty sure the Redskins are available too. If not, we'll just ask Neil to make that the next one in line, so that you can buy a few prints or buy the original. The original is available. And Walt, do you know Randy Bowling with Bowling RVs out in Iowa? Not only did he buy many prints of the Kansas City Chiefs for his employees, he bought the original drawing from Neil. So he has the original of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Now, somebody asked, it might have been Walt that asked a question about why don't you have a greatest players from the Washington Redskins? Well, Walt, from this perspective, there's not enough to fill up a index card, let alone a 11 by 14. But wait a minute, there was John Riggins. Who? John Riggins.
What's his name? Was who's the quarterback?
Joe Theismann
and Joe Theismann. Yeah,
that's about it. I mean, you know what? They could do the greatest players of the Washington Redskins on the back of a bottle cap.
Oh, that's not nice. Especially not nice after Walt Burns hired our good friend Neil Portnoy to do drawings at the National RVDA Convention Expo the last 2 years.
I know that's true. And Walter's a smart man.
I think you owe him an apology.
Walter, I meant nothing derogatory toward you. It's just that you're trying to make something that doesn't exist, which is a greatest hits album of Washington Redskins players. You might get a single or an extended play, but you ain't going to get an album on it.
I don't think that gets you off the hook, DiPietro.
That I can remember. And
Walter says Sonny Jurgensen.
Sonny Jurgensen. Okay, let's see. I know the number. Let's see if our audience knows. What was Sonny Jurgensen's number?
17.
No.
No? I don't know.
Walt, do you know?
Well, Walt put it up, so he must know it.
Well, he might know the name. He might not know the number.
I don't know.
Walter. We can always depend on Walter.
Our historian in chief, Sonny Barr. I remember him. Don't remember Darrell Green. John Riggins, yes. Art Monk, no. Theismann, yes. Jurgensen, yes. Chris, are those just numbers in order, or are those the numbers on their uniform?
No. They're not their uniforms.
Dexter Manley. Wasn't Dexter Manley a little rough? Doug Williams was a quarterback.
That's right, John Riggins.
Yeah.
Would you say was a quarterback?
Mike Ripken, too. Yeah, Ripien.
Yeah, but Ripien was a – the answer, unless Walter can unless either Walter –
he'll have it.
I have the Sonny Jurgensen number. Just put down, I give up, and I'll tell that to you.
Well, let's see. Patriots, we did that. Portnoy Gallery, we put that up there so that you'd all have it. And Portnoy Gallery again. Don Haas says hello from Athens, Texas. And I think you're going to be on his bad list, DiPietro.
No,
so why don't we save your ass and talk and tell people what you're actually supposed to be talking about tonight?
Walt was at the breakfast, and if you want to send him the link, he can come on with us live and talk about it as well, because it was probably one of the best programs that I've seen.
I can do that let me just see. I got to go out and find it. Why don't we do? Let me see.
Yeah, Walter got it. Number 9.
Number 9.
It was very rare to see a football player with a single number jersey. Back in those years. So
okay, let me. I'm going to see if I can find that link. So how about if we play a video?
Well, why don't you let me tell you about what the video is? Remember, you're the host. you're the host interviewing me.
You talk. So talk. I'm going to drop down. You talk for two minutes or so.
Ask me a question, and I'll be able to set it up with what the appropriate video is. Okay. Actually, he didn't. So I don't know. I'm at the airport. Okay.
You want me to ask a question?
I know. I'm at the airport. Sorry. Oh, Walter's at the airport. Yeah. Ask me a question.
Also, I can't do burns.
It sounds like Walter's at the airport. They would probably arrest him for being a spy.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll let him off the hook.
Okay. So you don't have to do that. Well, okay. I'll anticipate the first question. John, what was it like at the 13th annual RV Power Breakfast? Well, Bob, it was an amazing event. As you can see, that's an actual photograph behind us. It's not a retouched photo at all. That was from the back row looking toward the front. And when you see that person up front at the podium, that's not even the person. That's a big screen. So when you put 1,300 people into one room, that is a big room. I can't think of any other events that I've been to that have had 1,300 people at it.
Now, I know you got up early, DiPietro. So were you the first one in the breakfast line at 6:30?
No, actually, no. Actually, no. I got stuck in a little bit of traffic at 5:45 in the morning, trying to get from one end of Elkhart, trying to just get 5 miles from the hotel down to the breakfast. But there were people in line getting food at 6:30 a.m. It didn't start till 6:45. But you know what? They've done this so many times, and they just have their act down. I just can't say enough about the way the whole thing was set up, with the parking, with the access to the building, with the access to the food, with the access. They even brought in, Zagama, you would have loved this. They even brought in specialty coffee makers this year. So if you wanted something that you could only get like at a Starbucks, they had all those machines that went psst and
really?
Foam and whatever. But why don't we do this?
Did they change vendors on the breakfast?
Nope.
Nope.
Navarre was the same company that I've seen for the past few years.
Yeah. I did.
So anyway.
I did watch the streaming version, the whole thing.
Yep.
And you're right. This was by far the best in 13 years. It was well orchestrated. The speakers were fantastic. The only one they left off was you.
Yep. Well, that's probably why it was fantastic. But why don't we do this? The first person we ran into, actually, I hear from the background, DiPietro. And I turn around and it's Don Clark and Austin Clark. And we're just about ready to take a picture. And Kessler ran into the picture. So he has never met a camera he didn't like. And we were able to capture this with Rick Kessler, who was running the whole event, and Don Clark, who was one of the sponsors, and Austin Clark as well. So why don't you let that play, Bob? Okay. He runs for the picture. Everybody, we are with RV royalty. Starting with the king.
No, not at all. No.
He won't say that in front of you. Austin Clark, Don Clark, and Rick Kessler. And Rick invited 1,300 of his best friends to this event today. You know what? It's your second time around. You look a lot more relaxed than last year.
Look a lot more relaxed. Well, thanks for that. I do feel a little bit more relaxed. It's still going to be, we'll see how I feel once we get up in front of the 1,300 people.
Yeah. Don Clark, things continue to grow for Grand Design in your offerings. What, in the last year, 3 brand new products?
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, what industry can you do that? You got to do it right, but what industry can you do that in? And we're very blessed. I'm also blessed. I know this place only holds 1,300 people. I'm also blessed to be Rick's 12,999 entry. So
entry, okay.
Yeah,
in other words,
that's a great event.
You bought your tickets at the door.
I did. Scalpers.
Yeah. They're cheaper if you bought them in advance.
Yeah.
Get a free ticket with 2-liter Coke.
And it's kind of a homecoming for Austin here, because the first time we met was probably 5 years ago, you were just an intern, right?
I was, yes, sir.
Now you're senior executive vice
No,
president.
no. I'm the low man on the totem pole, but just honored to be here today.
Okay. So when you started in this business, did you think that it would get this crazy with new stuff and I mean, almost totally new product offerings then when you got in?
Oh, well, knowing him, he doesn't like to do anything small, so whatever we do, we try to be the best at it.
Yeah. That went on a little bit, but it was pretty special to see a father-son team working in this business. And there were two other father-son interviews that we did with Doug Gethart and Mike Gethart. We didn't get them together at the same time because their schedules just didn't allow for it. But, and Ron Fenich and his son are in the business together as well. But
and Jeff Hirsch and his sons.
Right,
Yep.
exactly. Jeff and Aaron.
Yeah.
And we have Jeff there. Actually, you know what?
What?
We did bump into Jeff. You want to hit Jeff and we'll...
Great industry event. When you think about, where we are today, you have all the stakeholders represented at this event. So you have your lenders, you have your campgrounds, you have your manufacturers, your dealers, your vendors. We all get together to go ahead and essentially find that common thread, right? And understand, how the industry is doing and where we could go from here. So it's really exciting. It's probably the networking event of the year. They are a resilient industry because, consumers don't want to go ahead and give up, their lifestyle. They want to enjoy, and RVing still, the affordable way to go ahead and see America and really build family values, right? So, we're excited for the prospects of the industry going forward. There's a lot of pent-up demand out there. There's a lot of volatility out there as well. But as things settle down and we see interest rates drop, I think we're going to see, a great opportunity for our industry.
Yep.
It's a great, that he says so much in that short period of time because as a networking event, it's an all industry networking event versus when we go to RVDA convention and it's really to network with other dealers. But they're right. They've got campgrounds, they've got suppliers, they've got everything you can think of in somebody, and there's an industry executive. What's even more ironic, and I talk about this every year, is I don't know another industry, any industry, that can get 1,300 industry executives to be in the breakfast line at 6:30 in the morning so that they can get out of there by 10 o'clock, which they did, and get back to their business.
Yeah. And you know what? And nobody is served. Everybody was in the line.
Yep.
You know what? It wasn't like, okay, the VIPs have, service where people bringing plates to them. They waited in line. But everybody knows it. It's such a and I've been to Chamber of Commerce events all over the place, from Boston to New York and to Philly, et cetera, et cetera. And when you go into those events, you don't feel the camaraderie that I felt there, where you could talk to anybody. And, they had people, line workers there that still had, they had the Amish line workers there, probably from Newmar or somewhere like that, that were there along with the, very few people very few people wore ties. I think the even the governor didn't have a tie on.
Right.
Peter Marici, the
didn't have a tie.
Economic guy, he had a tie on.
Yeah, you did.
But, their jeans and sport coats and jerseys that say the name of their company. And Kevin Horkey has sneakers, of course.
Of course, white ones.
White ones.
I think he has a pair of white sneakers, a new pair, for every day. He must,
or at least every show.
He must donate them or auction them off afterwards. Because the guys, how do you have white sneakers that don't get dirty?
Well, you don't do much.
Well, that's it. You're getting a couple of good hits in there tonight, DiPietro.
Well, I'm the guest.
Huh?
I'm the guest.
Let me see if you've taken any shots lately. Dante says, sorry, late dinner meeting. Dante, you know in advance every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. What is so difficult about that?
Where is Dante these days?
He's back in Maine.
Is he back to Maine? Did he make it
I
all the way?
don't know. No, he's got he may be in Michigan. I think he's
Why don't
got-
we ask him?
Yeah. Dante, where are you tonight?
Yeah.
Pat Hawes says everything is so much better in person. Online is impersonal. Well, that's
You're right.
true.
You're right.
John was there doing all the hard work, and I was sitting back in my chair here with a cup of coffee and just watching the streamlined video. The other thing that you'll notice about this event, they don't have name tags. Everybody knows everybody.
No name tags.
It doesn't make a difference if you're Bob Martin, the CEO of Thor, or you're that Amish line worker from the factory. It doesn't make a difference. You
Yeah.
talk to everybody, mix them up on the tables. You meet,
But Walter, Dante is in Maine. Okay, so Walter said they were latte machines. I'm sorry, Walter, I didn't use the right terminology. But see, Walter was smart to be there. I think they primarily sell to dealerships. I'm not sure. Am I right?
well, the products are off. They are sold through dealerships, but they made a couple of acquisitions, and they've got some new products. We got to bring him back on the show because he's got some products for consumers that they do sell to. It's a gigantic corporation that has many products in the automotive and the RV industry. But yes, for you folks out there, and I'm going to put his website down here because he is one of our strongest supporters.
No. One thing I
go-
did not see,
you
I
go-
did see,
Right
I
there.
did see Jeff Hirsch. I saw Ben Hirsch, and I saw Destiny. But unless I don't recognize other people, I did not see many other retail representatives there.
Maybe
from
not. You know.
Major national. They certainly may have been there,
Yeah.
but they weren't.
You
Again,
didn't see Larry Peter.
no, didn't see Larry.
Okay.
Didn't see Larry. Ben flew up, flew his own plane up. And Ben, interestingly, put something on Facebook. He had to go to Chicago for meetings before Elkhart, so he flew his plane from Jacksonville. I'm sure he had to make stops into O'Hare. And he said,
Here?
into O'Hare.
Oh
He
God.
said that was the coolest feeling in the world. He said I had a A380 on one side of me and a 747 just around me.
I didn't see that. That I got to post that. I didn't see on Facebook. I got to post that.
Yep, there's a picture of him in his Bonanza around
This Bonanza would be about the size of the tire on the 747.
right, exactly. And I said to him, "Why didn't you go to Midway?" But he said he had business over at the other side of the state.
Yeah.
So O'Hare was, but he goes, besides, it's a bucket list item to fly into O'Hare. So he did. So anyway, Walter, you going to London? He's going to London? Did you ask Walter where he's heading?
Maybe he's inland. Oh, he is flying, so he's at an airport. So tell me, Walt, are you on your way to London? And is it personal or is it a business trip? Can hear that ATC call now. Caution, wake
air traffic control.
I can't picture that. And then,
yeah.
Well, look at the bright side. It wasn't Newark.
Well, you know what? Today I was in Hartford. Yeah, today I was in Hartford, and I'm sitting at a restaurant, and a plane went by, and I just happened to have my flight radar thing on my phone, app on the phone, and I said, "Oh, it must be going to Bradley," and sure enough, it was going to Bradley, but it was a Chicago to Newark flight that was being diverted to Bradley.
Oh, nice.
And that was at 2:00 this afternoon. So anyway, and I will tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care what anybody says. Last week at the airport, I had to get up. Here's why it's valuable to have an RV. It's even more valuable to have another driver to share the driving with you.
So check out Burns, a typo. So he misplaced it. He was going to type Indianapolis, but he types London. How is that a typo?
That's one hell of a typo.
I wouldn't categorize that as a typo, but since I like you, I won't tell you what I would normally do. It's, in other words, if DiPietro had done that, I would have something much more nasty. But because it's Burns, we'll behave tonight.
Yeah, we're going to go back to more videos from the event in just a second, but I need to tell people when you're traveling on business today, because of the airline schedules being what they are, and unless you live right near an airport, I had to get up at 2 a.m. to get a 6 o'clock flight. But I had to get up at 2 o'clock to drive to an hour to a area to get the Logan Express, which was under construction. So I had to add an extra half hour to that. Okay, so I got the 4 a.m. Logan Express flight, Logan Express bus.
Well, the bus that goes from the suburbs to the airport.
Right, to the airport. Okay.
Yeah, most people don't know what Logan Express.
Right. And then get on the 6 o'clock flight, and then drive 120 miles from Midway Airport to Elkhart. Now, you say, well, why didn't you fly to Elkhart? Well, it was $59 to fly on Southwest and $250 to fly on Delta if it took me to South Bend. I'd still have to rent a car, et cetera. And then coming back, you have to leave South Bend at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to get to Chicago. And by the way, on Wednesday morning, I got to do 2 rush hours, Boston and Chicago, because of the time difference. So I got 2 rush hours in the same day.
In one day.
So anyway, who else we got lined up here?
Who would you like? Don't you have your list in front of you?
I do, but Kessler Clark.
Well, okay. We could do.
Let's do the governor. Let's do the mayor and the governor.
The mayor and the governor is. Now, oh, there it is.
We're with our friend, the mayor of Elkhart. You get your Roberson. Oh.
You know, that's okay.
Change it to Jones.
Mayor Rod Jones. My dad and grandfather would be upset.
Okay, he'd be upset. So everybody's got to say this, that, the other thing. But this is an industry that runs your city. Well, you run the city, but
I get what you mean. You know, this is an industry that contributes a lot to the city. And it's an industry that obviously Elkhart wouldn't be what it is without it.
If you listen to the negative news people, there should be nobody here today.
Then they don't know Elkhart. Elkhart has a completely different relationship to tough times.
And you know what? You just brought up a very interesting point, because I was just talking to Doug Yeddart, the president of Forest River, and who said, we're all friends, even though we're fiercely competitive. We play golf together. We have a beer together. We live in the same neighborhoods. That's very rare to see corporate competitors get along.
Well, listen, I'm from the basketball. I grew up playing basketball in Indiana, in Elkhart. And
did you palm a ball?
I'm sorry?
Did you palm it?
Palming wasn't necessary. It's putting it in the hoop that was necessary, just to let you know. Putting it in the hoop was what was necessary. Okay. And yes, there are times in which you have to do that.
I can tell you're a politician because you avoided 2 questions.
No, I spoke to the real reason why they're there. But no, we grew up playing with our competitors. We grew up learning the game from each other. So we have respect for one another, just like the RV industry and how these wonderful entrepreneurs work together in a competitive spirit in order to make an industry what it is. It's this industry is like no other in relationship to how it works together in order to create just wonderful things. We like to say we punch above our weight. Well, you know the RV industry does, and so does Elkhart.
Great.
More question. Governor, you mentioned during your time in Washington, there were a lot of people that come from one-party states that were born into their position by either their last name or their political affiliation. Today, with the economy being what it is, how important is it that a elected official have some real-world business experience before heading out to corner offices?
I think it's invaluable. I mean, even most governors have not signed the front side of a paycheck, and it's like running a business. I think voters would almost require it there. I think the last time that's occurred in our state was with Bob Orr back in 1980. You're running the biggest business in the world, and that the people in charge of it, the board of directors, the Senate, when I got there, I think 62 were attorneys that didn't even practice their trade. Pivot into elected or appointed politics, the results speak for themselves. Voters wise up, get term limits, get a balanced budget amendment, and you at least put guardrails in there. So real world experience of running something, especially when the printing press is in the basement like it is in DC, we need to do better at that, and that's up to voters to require it.
Thanks so much.
Okay?
Good question and a great answer.
Well, you hate to think that politics has anything to do with business, but politics does have a lot to do with business. And the governor, Braun, said that, because another question had come up earlier in that conversation about tariffs. And he said, look, you got to understand the tariffs will probably go away. They were a bargaining chip. And we needed to get people to come to the table. So, from that perspective, Braun gets it. Besides, he's worked in the industry. I see that Rick Kessler, who was in charge of this whole thing, has joined us, and he missed his interview.
And Walt recognizes that. Great, and you're right. In terms of Mike Braun, he was part of a family business. We have distributors that distribute parts to OEMs and to dealers throughout this country, several of them. One of the best ones is Myers Distribution. And Mike Braun was a member of the Myers, of the family owned business, and ran it for quite some time until he ran for the House of Representatives and then a senator. Yeah.
No, he did both.
Then he decided, he did both. And then he wanted to be governor, and it was a virtual landslide, which is amazing. But he's a very and it certainly doesn't hurt to have a governor from the state of Indiana that knows the RV industry, that works with all these people every day. And he was one of the guys they'd have breakfast with or go golfing with, and now he just happens to have a different name tag, but he's the same guy.
Yep, exactly. And he hung around. See, lots of politicians, they come to those events and they speak, and then they're whisked off through the back door to the next event. And Braun hung around because he was the last speaker before the break. So right after he spoke, there was a break. And the thing I told Rick after the event is that there was very little there were very few people that left at the break. I think it was at 8:30, 8:45, something like that. It was a 15-minute break, but the governor hung around. And one of his aides said, "We got to go." And Mike said, "Nah, we can stay."
Well, and that's another indication of how strong the program was this year, because you're right. At halftime in the past, half the people would leave. This was just an incredible program. You want to put Maurice? I'll put Maurice up and talk a little bit about economics. I love this guy. I first saw him 20 years ago when I was in the imaging business. We used to have him as the keynote speaker for our Minolta annual meeting. Let's see what Peter has to say. Real down to earth economist too.
And we are with one of our featured speakers, world-renowned economist Peter Morici. And Peter, how long have you been doing this? Because it seems like all the years I've been coming, you've been forecasting.
I've been forecasting. I've been doing economics since I was 16, so that's 60 years ago.
Okay, so we do the math and we find out you're 76.
That's right.
That's right. Okay, so you know what? The word is not as positive this year as it's been in previous years, but you'd admit that this is a resilient industry that always seems to rebound, has been for 50 years.
Absolutely, and the economy is resilient as well. We've been through this before. We've had tariffs before, and we've had changes, like climate change and immigration issues and so forth. This is just part of the American experience.
So what is going to be your message to the assembled crowd here?
I think we're going to feel a lot better about the economy and the industry this time next year than we do right now. That we'll push through our present problems, and that there's a lot of resilience in America, and that the growth prospects of the country are very positive, and we'll get there from here.
The tariffs is the big word. Everybody wants to know what impact it's going to have on the price of a product. However, 90% of the products that are in an RV are American-made, and only a few components are foreign-made.
That may be. Still, if you can't get a critical component, you can't make an RV. So it's a matter of securing your supply chain, making sure you have everything you need, even if you have to pay a little for it because it's made someplace else, or wherever it is that you've imported from, and that you make it here or someplace else.
Now, as far as the American manufacturers are concerned, the Elkhart-based businesses that sell to Canada, are they going to be hurt?
Well, I think that they may find that they have more competition in Canada than before, and there'll be a reluctance, at least for a time, to buy American products. However, you have to ask yourself, is there really a reasonable alternative available in Canada, and how long will these hard feelings last? It isn't like we haven't had crises in U.S.-Canadian relations before, and it isn't like we've precipitated them all. In my own lifetime, in my own career, I can remember the Canadians putting up barriers to American companies investing in Canada, and waves of anti-Americanism at the time. So my feeling is Donald Trump may be a disappointment to them. He's a disappointment to some Americans in that regard. But for the Prime Minister, Carney, to say that things will never be the same again, that's like saying human nature never recovers.
Interesting. Politics and economics, in college are two separate courses, but in reality, they're one course.
And it all goes round and round.
Here we go. I want to thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule to talk with us.
You're welcome.
And we are with one.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I'm even impressed with that one.
Yeah. That was. You got good questions. Of course, you know how to ask good questions. That's why people like to do interviews with you. Even Doug Getter, who was just happened to be walking by and noticed you get recognized by the CEO of Forest River, who wants to come talk.
So we're here with Doug Getter, and Doug, things are going crazy in this business, and always new innovations and always new things, but it's a cyclical business. I was looking at a video we did 10 or 12 years ago. You had a white shirt and tie on, and now you don't wear one.
I do. Weddings, funerals, and that's about it.
But not even when you meet Warren Buffett.
No, we were getting ready that day to open the exhibit. That was just before they were going to let the public actually in. And you know me, you've been around me a long time. I always put on a flashy shirt so people don't focus on my big nose and my bald head. And that's what I told Warren.
So now you're the number one guy at Forest River. You have made the run. You worked your way there.
I've been there a long time. I mean, this is year 26, year 27. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's more fun than ever right now. And, I've just basically outlasted somebody like Gundon.
Yeah. Why is it important for somebody like you to be at an event like this?
Oh, gosh. I think just coming in the door and these 40 feet that we've traveled so far, you get a sense of what's going on in the industry. This has got pretty much everybody here, from more dealers than have ever come, obviously the manufacturers and the suppliers, and you get a great pulse of the whole industry in a short 2.5, 3 hour period, in addition to the speakers. I mean, speakers are the feature, right, but the side piece here is the social.
The speakers are really kind of like almost secondary compared to just meeting people here, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's become a tradition.
And I think there's somebody else on stage today with your last name.
That's the new and improved model. His mom said, make sure you get a little video of Mike this morning. But yeah, no, I'm very proud. He's done a great job. He works his fanny off, and what he and Michaela are doing on these on these efforts to pull the whole industry together to basically do good deeds is awesome.
Pull
It's
the
awesome.
industry together.
It pulls the whole industry together. Yeah.
Because everybody thinks that, a lot of industries, the CEOs of the various companies don't talk to each other or are arch enemies. That couldn't be more from the truth in reality in Elkhart, where you'll go have a beer together.
Yeah, this industry, and it goes past the beer together. It goes to being neighbors. I mean, we would come to each other's aid as companies, as CEOs. It's the most unique industry in the world from that standpoint. We're all great friends. We all go out in the field and compete every day. We're all extremely competitive, as you're well aware.
Yep.
But we're all great friends, too. And we're about the betterment of the entire industry and the customer experience.
And with the betterment of the entire industry, everybody benefits.
Everyone does.
Including the consumer, right?
Everyone. And that's what I say. It's consumer experience.
Cool. Okay, buddy. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I'll tell you, it's a unique set of individuals. I wish we lived closer to Elkhart so we could see them more often. And I often say, if John and I grew up in Elkhart, we'd own the media business out there by now. But great interview. And he's a good friend.
Yeah. And there's one other thing that our audience might be interested in.
What's that?
When the show ended, I was running up to grab an interview with somebody up at the front that said, "See me right after the show." And I ran into this guy in a red shirt, and it said Horizon Transport. And, there are people that said, "I wish I had a job driving RVs." And if you talk to this person and listen to what he has to say, you too could have a job driving RVs. We are here at the Power Breakfast. We're talking to Mr. Rob Jackson, who's the president of Horizon Transport. Rob, tell us what you do. Tell us what your company does.
So, president of Horizon Transport. So we are one of the larger national RV delivery transporters based out of Elkhart, Indiana. We have a satellite facility in Oregon. Help service the satellite factories out west. We have about 1,500 drivers nationwide from all the states that come in, that mostly to the epicenter of Elkhart area, pick up units from our staging yards. We do flatbed, towable, single pickup, and driveway operations. So we've been in business for our 41st year in business.
Okay.
And we're recruiting heavy right now. We're in spring spike season. Our lots are packed. We're aligned with some of the bigger entities in the country as far as dealership networks and the factories direct. We bring in independent contractors. All of our drivers are independent businesses.
Okay, yeah.
So we're promoting the entrepreneurial spirit, especially in the current states that we're in, trying to get more people into small businesses and enjoying the outdoors. Good timing today. We just launched and announced yesterday our SeeAmerica250.com campaign. So in celebration of America's 250th historic birthday, we launched a site that is promoting individuals to consider owning and operating their small business in transportation, to get out and explore America over the next year during this historic time. So site, SeeAmerica250. You don't have to have a CDL. Flatbed, you need CDL Class A. In pickup, CDL Class A is recommended, but you can have a chauffeur's license based on the individual state. On driveway, you can either have a Class B CDL or a chauffeur's license. So the barrier to entry isn't that encumbering.
So basically a pickup truck.
Yep, pickup truck. We have 1 ton pickup, 1.5 ton, up to 2 ton, 2.5. Like I said, we have 120 flatbed drivers that deliver multi-hauls nationwide. Driveway, we have individual drivers who deliver motorhomes and Class C, Class A's, utility trucks around the country.
Okay. You are looking for people actively now?
Yes, we actively recruit 12 months of the year, all year round. We have a good recruiting department. HorizonTransport.com is our website, mostly a recruiting site.
People don't need to work 52 weeks a year, right?
They don't.
They can work when they want.
Yeah, we generally attract casual drivers. I've been in the business for 39 years, and all 39 years, we might have 15 to 20% that do this for a career, a job, 5-day-a-week type work schedule. But mostly 50% of our drivers are maybe 2-3 trips a month or less, just as a way to kind of get out and see the country. Most of our drivers are 40 to 70-year-olds. This kind of subsidizes their retirement, semi-retirement, or in retirement. Just something to do.
Great. We want to thank you so much. We will look for Horizon. It's always good to have logos on shirts.
Oh, yeah. So I bought it.
Horizon Transport. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you.
That's very interesting. Some people may not have thought that they could just. I mean, I like to drive, but I'm probably not at that stage where I want to do it every day. But it's an interesting opportunity to be able to do it 2, 3, 4 times a month and head out to Elkhart and bring back a towable or a motorhome to a dealer around the country.
You see,
you snagged that one.
It was just I bumped into him. And you could see that the event was over.
Right.
And we just walked by each other, and I saw the Horizon Transport on his shirt. I said, "Excuse me, is there anybody here from your company that can speak on camera?" He said, "Me." And he gave me his card, and it said President. But if I wasn't there, or if I had left early, I wouldn't have gotten that interview.
No,
And
you never
we can run that in a
I'll
number
tell you.
of other places, because there's so many people that said, "Man, I just wish I could do that and get paid for it." So I have no idea what the pay is.
I don't either. I think they pay them by the mile.
But you see a lot of guys, because we live right across the street from a Camping World store here in West Boylston in the Worcester area, and you see these guys pulling them out during the winter. They come out and they're all white with salt. But one of those things is, in fact, I bumped into a lot of the drivers down in Florida this year that were bringing them down to the big dealerships in Florida. But I said,
take that run. Yeah.
The thing is, you can get a job, you be selective as you want and say, "Look, I only want to come to New England. I want to come to Pete's. I want to come to Campers Inn. I want to come to, Longview," so that when you're done the run, you're done. You can have your family pick you up somewhere.
Look, before we get too far, getting close to the closing bell. One of the interviews that you did, they were all fantastic, but this woman is a rising star, and
yes.
I thought she gave one of the best presentations in terms of the information that was provided to the audience. And those in attendance. And Jessica Turner was with the Outdoor Recreation Roundtable. Let's listen to Jessica here.
We are here with Jessica Turner from ORR, Outdoor Recreation Roundtable. Tell people what that is, because you did a great job, but there are millions of people that will be watching this that don't know what it is.
Sure. So ORR is the nation's leading coalition of outdoor recreation trade associations. We represent we only, I think, but we lead. We represent everything from, of course, RV, but boat, bike, hike, camp, climb, concessionaires, ski, hunt, fish, really every recreation activity. So there's about 110,000 American businesses in our outdoor recreation industry, and we represent that $1.2 trillion economy.
You did a great job today in showing the economic impact that people bring.
Yeah.
And I've yelled at the camping industry for not showing the economic impact that a RVer has on a marketplace.
Right.
Because
it's huge.
There's that false perception that the RVer pulls into the campground, stays there all weekend, and drives home.
No.
They bought gas. They went to local attractions. restaurants. They went to restaurants.
They probably needed a technician for something. They needed a service. We talk about the economic impact of the outdoor industry consumer as being in every corner of the country. It's national. Think about everything you do every day in order to get the things you love to do, to play, to hunt, to fish, to ski, to bike, and of course to RV. And so the economic impact of the RVer is very acute in Indiana because we're manufacturing there, and I know super proud of that, but it's happening in every state. And that's why, I think there's a voice for the RVers with policymakers, no matter where you live.
Yeah, it's certainly not Indiana exclusive.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it emanates from here with 85% of the RVs produced coming from here, but
it's everywhere.
Outdoor recreation. And what you guys seem to do better than anyone else is to pull all the different organizations together, which really are have been siloed apart.
They've been siloed, and it was so frustrating. About 10 years ago, we tried to quantify the outdoor recreation industry. And, at that point, I was with the Outdoor Industry Association, which was the brands like REI and Patagonia and North Face. And it's such a small, portion of the big industry. But when you pull in motorcycles and you pull in, fishing, and the service industry and the RV industry, you start to see, wow, we're really big. And then finally, we got legislation passed to have Congress and the administration actually count our jobs as a unique sector of the economy. And that's been game changing because now we know that we all come together, we're really strong, and we can tell this story that we haven't been able to tell before. So this is all new in the past 5 or 6 years that we've had the data, we've come together, and we've showed our strength, and I think we're just beginning that.
Great. We want to thank you so much for spending time after the event.
Thank you.
I know you're heading out, I'm heading out, everybody's heading. And
clearly, yeah.
And we're heading back to get somewhere this weekend in our RV.
Awesome. Have a good time out there. Thank you.
You too.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, she was really a very good speaker. I mean, I'd put her up there with
Toby
O'Rourke. Exactly. Yep. With the statistics, the information that's provided. And that's why people go to the breakfast. They get a chance to sit next to all those people.
You bring up an interesting point. It is a male-dominated industry, but the times that we've been, the female speakers have stolen the show.
Oh, absolutely. Every year.
When Toby speaks, it's like E.F. Hutton. Everybody listens.
You could hear a pin drop. Yeah. I think we got through all of your videos except for Daryl at the Hall of Fame, and we got a couple of minutes. You want to shoot? Yeah, it's only 2 minutes. Let's do Daryl.
Hey, everybody. We are in Elkhart. We are at ground zero for the RV industry, and all of us that have watched this show every week always talk about Elkhart because we've been out here so many times. And we're with the brand new executive director of the RV Manufactured Housing, the RVMH Hall of Fame, Daryl Milnickel. Daryl, welcome to RVing in New England.
Thank you. I appreciate the warm welcome. This is week 4 on the job, and I'm excited to be here.
Week 4 on the job, and you know what? It's starting to get busy.
It's definitely had its uptick. Any new job, you're going to experience kind of the fire hose syndrome, but it's been great. I'm excited to be a part of it.
So people don't understand that it's more than just the Hall of Fame. I mean, you've got harvest host capabilities here. You've got also hookups, right?
We
here
do.
As well.
So we are unique. We have about 40 acres. We have harvest host, as you mentioned. We have rally sites. We have power hookups. We also have an event center attached to it, along with the manufactured housing side and the RV side of the museum, in addition to our Hall of Fame wall, and it's quite a bit here.
And people can come in and see virtually everything from some of the earliest units to taking a factory tour.
Absolutely.
Right here and seeing the newest units.
Yeah, we have something from every period. So if you're an RV enthusiast, there's definitely something that you've seen before, but things you haven't that you've been wanting to see. We have a May West stage car. We have all kinds of unique items that are one of a kind. So it's a unique place to see special collection.
Great. And tell people where we're located.
We're here in Elkhart, Indiana, right off I-90, the toll road. You can't miss us. Giant green roof, beautiful campus. Come see us.
Giant green roof. Daryl, we know that you've got a lot of work to do with some big events coming up. We want to thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule
to talk to us here on RVing in New England.
Thank you for having me. I'd do it anytime.
And now back to you.
So, and that brings us right up to the hand being on the 12, and I can't believe we just ate up an hour. Unbelievable review of the meeting, John. You
Thank you.
Put everybody else to shame. Nobody is better at what you do. So, any closing words to our fans as we?
No, we've got a lot more interviews. We can, intersperse them over the next few weeks. But just go out and have fun. Go RVing.
That's good. That's a good point. Go out there and just do what you have to do and have fun. And summer's coming. Memorial Day will be here soon before you know it, and everybody will be out there in the campground. All right. See everybody next week. And thanks for joining us tonight. And we'll see you down the road.
This edition of RVing in New England was a presentation of the New England RV Dealers Association. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.